Hello, everyone. Good night, or hello, happy night? I don't even know what to say anymore. All right, so tonight we are talking about narcissistic parents and what's the signs of them, if you've had them in your life, and how it affects you and causes chaos in your life. So let me know if you are here. Let me know that you're catching the replay. Give me a hashtag replay, and also let me know where you're calling in from, because we're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this up, guys, so you're going to have to let me know in the comments. Are you enjoying these Tuesday night lives? Because my kids went back to school this week, so I'm debating whether to keep these up. So if you get a lot of value, please let me know in the comments. Please share a comment, because I'm not seeing any, so I want to make sure that they are working, that you can hear me and see me so that you don't miss the information. Thank you, Sue. Got you. All right, so the comments are working. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Danielle Ingenito. I'm the expert in healing after toxic relationships. I do it with the power of energy healing. So for me, therapy didn't work, but energy healing was the answer to my problems. It made me feel better. It made me feel like I released something, and it actually helped. Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about narcissism, and especially with the parents. Now, if you've been in a toxic relationships and you don't know what narcissism is, and toxic by meaning like it was emotionally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive, maybe there was the emotional abuse is like a lot of put downs, a lot of gaslighting, which is making you feel like you're the problem, you're the crazy one, everything was always turned around on you. You definitely want to check out my narcissism playlist on YouTube. So make sure you check it out. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't checked out my Facebook group, you want to make sure you get over there, Turning Pain into Power. All right. So let me say hi to everybody. Hello, Claudia, Kara. Hello. Hope you're doing better. Cherie, Lori, Melissa. Hello, hello. And Patty. Hello, ladies. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to it. If you're over on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you're in Facebook, give me some love and show me that you appreciate these videos so that I keep doing them. All right. So I wrote my notes here because I wrote down like a bunch of things, and I'm just going to kind of flow with it. It's kind of the mood that I'm in tonight. I'm a little tired, and like spirits like to come to me when I'm in that kind of tiredness. So awesome. So, okay. So we're going to go through the signs of narcissistic parents, just so that you can identify if you were brought up by a narcissistic parent. Okay. I got kind of like 8 of them. So I'm going to go down in like from 8 to 1, but I'm not going to say the numbers. Okay. Cause I can never keep track. All right. Tried to find you live last night, but couldn't find it. So let's see with the electronics. Awesome. Was I live? Oh, the Reiki Vault. Okay. Yeah. If you guys haven't checked out the Reiki Vault, there's a 3-day trial. So if you want to check it out, there's over 80 lessons, just like kind of what I give to you tonight, but it's followed with an energy healing. Okay. So you can check that out. It's on my website, danielleingenito.com. All right. So the first sign that you have a narcissistic parent, and let's just talk about real quick before we get into this, why am I even discussing this? So when we suffer from toxic relationships, it's usually a cycle, and we try to break the pattern. But what happens is the reason that we're attracting these toxic relationships and settling with them, even though maybe we've seen some red flags, maybe we knew we shouldn't have been involved or shouldn't have gotten married, but we did it anyway because we were afraid to get out of it at the time. We were afraid people were going to get mad at us. We didn't want to hurt anybody. All of these reasons, it really doesn't matter. But the root of the issue of these toxic relationships usually comes from childhood. There could be some other situations that happen in your life, but most of the clients that I work with, it goes right back to the childhood. So the childhood is where our parents are, right? This is where we had the most time with our parents. So this topic tonight, if you've never dealt with this or identified your parents as a narcissist, and doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be a narcissist. And I want to be very clear here. Narcissist is a lack of empathy, and we're going to talk about one of those signs, but they have no empathy for you, okay, or anybody really. And codependent is on the same spectrum, right? But they have a lot of empathy. So they don't necessarily have to be a true narcissist. And I always say, like, yeah, I use these skills and quote unquote labels, but it's really not important about the actual labels. So don't get stuck, because I find a lot of my clients get stuck with, well, is he a narcissist or is he not a narcissist? Is she a narcissist or not a narcissist? And it really doesn't matter. It's just, if some of these things resonate with you, don't get caught up in the label of a narcissist. Okay. That's why I label this narcissistic, which just means that they have a high tendency of some of these things that we're going to talk about tonight. And if they have a high tendency of these signs, then that is probably going to be your root issue of why you keep attracting toxic relationships. And at the end of this, I'm going to invite you to a coaching call with me that will identify this even more for you and bring you through a step-by-step process as to healing this, okay? But we'll talk about that more at the end. All right, so the first sign of narcissistic parent, and this could be your mother or it could be your father, so I'm not just going to talk about one gender here. It doesn't really matter, but if you've had a narcissistic parent, it's definitely going to affect you, okay? So they live their lives. So the first sign is that they live their lives through you as a child. Okay, so if they wanted to be a football star, or if they wanted to be a doctor, whatever they wanted to do in their life, but they didn't do, they're going to put those expectations on you, and they're going to push you to make sure that you're following that. So they don't really allow you to be who you are or want what you want. It's kind of like their way or the highway. So they're pushing you to do the things even though you don't want to do that. I know with my mom, she pushed me to do college, which I didn't really want. I don't think I wanted to go to college, but like she made it very, very clear that we had to go to college. So, which I thank her for now, but at the same time, like it maybe wasn't what I wanted to do. Okay. So the next sign is going to be jealousy. So you have to remember narcissistic people are kind of all about themselves. They care about some of them care about what they look like, but care about what people think of them the most, okay? So if they are jealous of you as a child, so maybe you're excelling, maybe you went to college and they didn't go to college. Maybe you're more beautiful than they are, and you always get the looks when you guys go out together. Something like that where they are jealous of you. What they're going to do at that point is they're going to start to nitpick you. They're going to start to criticize you because they don't want you to know that you're better than them in any type of way. So the jealousy is going to come out. And unfortunately, obviously we all get jealous at sometimes, but they take it to the next step as to trying to bring you down so that you don't think what other people think of you. So they really try to bring your self-esteem, your self-confidence down. So let me know in the comments when I say one of these signs, if it resonates with either your mother or your father, let me know in the comments there. All right, let's see. Kitty says, my mom does the nitpicking. Yes. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Victoria. And Melissa says, my mom is totally one. Griselle, nice to see you too. Awesome. Hello. All right, so the next sign here is objectifying the child. So they will literally make you feel like an object, like you are someone to make them look good. So maybe they dress you up real nice. And again, we're going back to your childhood, not right now, but back to your childhood. Maybe they dressed you up real nice. You always had to look nice, always had to take family pictures. And they kind of used you as an object to make them look better. So they might have objectified you as a child, okay, because they wanted to be better than everyone else. Again, it's the way that people are looking at them that they really care about, because that really validates them. So they might have used you to kind of make themselves look better. They might, if you're a football star, I'm going to football. Andrew's here, my spirit guide. We got to do it. But like, say if you're a football star or, a beauty queen, whatever it is, they're going to use that to actually make them look good. Look at my son. Look at my daughter. Like, look at what they did. And they're going to use that type of stuff to make them look good to other people. Okay. The next sign is that they are easily triggered. So what happens is they're trying to control you. They're trying to, again, we just talked about you're an object to them. They don't like see you as a person, that jealousy stuff, they live through you. So they just kind of like see you as an extension of them. And this can really trigger them when you go against them. So when you don't do what they say, when you do the opposite, or when you say no to them, they feel a loss of control. And this can really trigger them because they will start to lash out. They will start, and these are the things that narcissistic parents will do. They might give you the silent treatment. They might beat you. They might lock you in your room. They might, lash out on you and say very demeaning things to you. So because you're not doing what they want you to do, And that really gets them upset. It really does. They want everything in control, that they know that they can control everything so that it helps them feel better about themselves. So definitely realize that if you are not doing, and I see this a lot, even, and please understand that, yeah, this happened as a child, but it usually continues, because I've worked with a lot of women that are still scared to say no to their mom, are scared to be around their mom because of how they act, and they don't know what to do or what to say. They want to have this relationship. I'm going to the mother right now. This can resonate with your father, but they want to have that relationship, but they're just too hard to deal with. So we work a lot around like that relationship and kind of lowering our expectations of what a relationship with the narcissistic mother or father is actually going to look like, because it's not going to look like what we imagine, like, you know, all the love and everything, affection and stuff like that. But a lot of also my clients will say, like, I have to cut them out. And what I really want you, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but to realize is that you don't automatically have to cut your parents out, even if they're narcissists. But you have to heal yourself, and we'll get to that in a little bit later. So the next sign here is that they expect the child to take care of them. Like, they literally think that, and this could even be as a little girl or a little boy, where they were emotionally dependent on you. So if they were having a bad day, it was your job to cheer them up. It was your job to, you know, clean the house to make them happy. It's your job to get a job and take care of them for the rest of their lives. So they literally feel as though you are there to take care of them. They depend on you, you know, especially when you get a little bit older and you can do more things for them. And like I said, like even women in their 50s who are dealing with parents who are in their 80s are still going to be like, you know, feeling guilty if they're not showing up and, like, you know, taking them to the grocery store, taking them to the doctor. And most likely, even at that age, the parents are still going to harp on them, giving them that guilt and giving them that shame that they're not being a good, you know, daughter or a good son that is taking care of their mother. Okay. So they're going to give you that guilt. All right. I see that you guys are resonating with these. Awesome. I'll read them in a second. All right, so the next sign here is the lack of empathy. So we already talked about that's really what narcissism is that they don't have empathy. So this resonated with me, where when my father left when I was about 9, you know, anytime that I felt some kind of emotion, it was like, oh, don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Like, I wasn't allowed to have my feelings. So, you know, she just thought it was like whatever. So this could be like your parents, you could be going through something like a breakup, maybe your father leaving or your mother leaving, but your parent isn't empathizing with you in how you feel about it. They just kind of want you to get over it. And that's like one of the most common phrases with narcissists, especially my ex, was just get over it, get over it. And there's a lack of empathy there. They don't understand. They're not trying to put themselves in your shoes. So they don't have that empathy. They don't allow you to feel your emotions. They kind of just want to shrug it off and be on to the next thing. So that's a really powerful one if your parents were a narcissist. The next one is neglect. So I did a whole video on neglect. So you can check that out on YouTube, I believe it is, or in my Facebook group. But here, if they're neglecting you, and a lot of us just think it's like neglect where it's like physical neglect, so they're not there, okay? But it's also emotional neglect, because emotional neglect, and I've worked with a lot of people that where I'll say, look, well, where's your abandonment issues? And they're like, no, I haven't had abandonment. But you have to understand that abandonment can come from emotional neglect as well. Because if they're not there for you emotionally, you can feel abandoned at the same time. It doesn't always have to be physical abandonment in order to create these the feelings and the thoughts and everything that happens with the neglect. It doesn't always just have to be physical, like they've abandoned you, or and also going back to physical abandonment. I can't speak today. Physical abandonment is like, it doesn't have to be so traumatic as, like, you know, my dad leaving for like 9 years. It can be something like they forgot me at school, or, you know, they left me home a lot because they had to work. And there was a very reasonable excuse that they had to work. And we can understand that as an adult looking back. But as that child, we don't understand why our parents have to work, where my friends' parents are like eating dinner together every night and doing games and being and spending time together. So basically, you know, there's that neglect in that sense, and it doesn't have to be complete physical neglect, like out of the house. It could still be neglect while your parents are still there. So it could be emotional neglect where they're not affectionate, they're not listening to you, they don't ask you questions, they don't care really. And then it can also be physical neglect where they're working too much. And another one that I run into a lot with my clients is that if you have too many siblings, you know, your mother or father can't really spend that time with you. So you feel neglected, and you also feel like other people are more important. So it causes this whole big thing, but that's also neglect too. And you know, obviously not at the fault of your parents. And this is what I also want you guys to understand, is that when you're healing, it's not, I think a lot of people resist healing because they don't want to blame their parents. Like, they like the relationship, they don't want to cut it off, they don't want to blame them, like all of this. Like, it's really important to understand that when you're healing, you're not blaming your parents. What we're doing is we're becoming aware. We're becoming aware of what our parents and did and kind of how they've impacted our lives now. So it's not always about like, you've got to have the talk with your parents. You know, you got to dive in, you got to yell at them, you're going to get angry at them. It's just about being aware and then healing that part of you that was, you know, kind of damaged as a child, that's now producing these toxic relationships in your life. Okay. All right. So the last one here is manipulation. So this is what narcissists do. I can't even say it's a sign of a toxic parent, but it's just what narcissists do. So manipulation. So I've already touched upon a few things here, where definitely guilt. So they're going to guilt you for things because they're trying to manipulate you to do what they want you to do. And how they do this is guilt trips. So they're going to make you feel guilty. So again, like the older parent, it's like they're going to make you feel guilty for not coming and taking you. They're going to say things. And sometimes these are like backhanded compliments or passive aggressive compliments. So it's hard to kind of like pinpoint them because they're so subtle and you don't really realize it. It's not like someone's yelling at you or specifically saying like, you're a bad daughter. It is someone saying like, oh, well, so-and-so did this for their parent. You know what I mean? It's very subtle of how they do it. It's all manipulation. Okay, so guilt trips, the blaming you, so blaming you for things that maybe they had to suffer from. This can come into play like when your parents were divorced and they blamed you because they couldn't have a life or they couldn't, you know, have a relationship. And again, this can be very subtle and very backhanded, where they could blame your father, but then ultimately it blames you. Like I've just run into this conversation lately where it's like, well, they said that I was like him. So when, you know, I felt as though I was bad because they said I was like him and they hate him, so they must hate me. And these things can really play on a child's mind. And you have to realize that that child cannot comprehend what you can comprehend today. And that child is where everything is going wrong and stuck. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So shaming you as well. So shaming, like you did something wrong, you know, keep throwing things in your faces about your mistakes. And ultimately, I feel like most of those mistakes is because they didn't do the job of teaching you what you needed to learn in order to not make those mistakes. And that's like a big thing that we talk about in my mentorship program is our boundaries. And like, if we're not taught boundaries, how the hell do we know about boundaries? We don't. So therefore we have none. And this is why we keep getting hurt. So it's really important to understand boundaries and to know that you're worthy enough for having them. The other thing here is comparison. So they might compare you to your brother or to your sister or to all of your siblings, right? They might make you feel like you're the less of all of them. You know, you're not good enough. And again, I don't believe that, I mean, some are very aggressive, some are very physical abusive, but you know, the really manipulative ones are very subtle. So it's literally messing with your mind. This is where the gaslighting comes from, because they make you feel like you're the person in the wrong, that something is wrong with you, when in fact, it's really kind of wrong with them. So they're going to compare you to other people. So it really just diminishes your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-love, everything with yourself. Like you don't even understand who you are. without them sometimes, or without pleasing them. Like maybe one of the things on your mind is always pleasing them. And the last thing that I want to say here is love is conditional with them. So if you had a narcissistic parent, love was always conditional. Like you knew you had to do something in order to receive the hug or the kiss or the happiness or the pat on the back. It was always conditional. It always had to come with a price. Okay, so that's my signs for narcissistic parents. Silent treatment is also another manipulation. This is one that I had to deal with a lot. And every single time it would cause me a lot of anxiety, and I always had to fix it and make it better. I would be calling her all the time. But silent treatment, it's that. And again, silent treatment can also trigger abandonment, because it's like they're taking that love away from you because you did something that they didn't agree with. Okay, so love is conditional. So let me know in the comments. I know I kind of went through that, but let me know in the comments what you guys are saying here. Let me see if I can. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I always seek love from my mom because I felt I was a burden to her. Yeah. So, yep. So that would be the manipulation. She would say things to you to make you feel small, or make you feel like that shame of, oh my gosh, like you burden me. You make my life hard. I do know as well, when I was little, I've done everything. Yeah. All right. Yes, yes, yes. It was work. I was having to be mother around 8 years old. Yeah. So you were the mother. You probably had to take care of her, or they could have even like pushed you onto the other siblings, where you had to take care of everybody else, where she just got to do her thing or he got to do his thing, whatever, if it's your mother or father. Oh my God. Yes. Especially with my divorce. My father was like that. He called it tough love. Yeah. Well, as a child, we don't understand. I mean, I give tough love now, but on here anyway, not to my kids. But as a child, we don't get tough love. We don't understand what that means. Like, we just think they're being mean, and like it hurts us. So we don't understand that as a child. It was so much more subtle with my mom, made it also more difficult to realize what's really going on. Took me many years. Yeah, absolutely. But their emotions and feelings are important. Totally resonating. Awesome. Love was conditional. I was left home alone a lot. Yep. Can hear and see you. Thank you, Deanne. My sister would beat me up because she had to watch me due to my parents working and partying. So that's a big thing too. So again, there's shame around that, just not your parents, but also your sister there. So there's a lot of connection between your mom and your dad and your siblings as well. So we have to look at everything. Okay. Abel says, my mom often one-ups my accomplishments with something my brother has done. Yes, that favorite child. And remember, narcissists, especially parents, well, narcissist parents have the golden child and the scapegoat. So one of them, that's going to be like their knight in shining armor, or even if it's a girl, like it's going to be the one that they tell everybody about and everything. The other one is going to be, it's like the, no. Is it Cinderella? No. The Three Ugly Steps. Oh my gosh, I can't think tonight. Anyway, so it's like that, where one is kind of praised and the other is like expected to do everything else. And they get the shit end of the stick, basically. So, and we grow up feeling like we're never good enough, because we're never good enough as our sibling that they keep comparing us to. So that makes complete sense. My mother would constantly blame me for what she went through with my father. Yeah. So, okay. So this is all resonating constantly. I tried so hard to get her love as she did my sister. Yeah. And that's the problem. So, okay. So let's transition, I guess, into what do we do if we've grown up with a narcissistic parent? First of all, get on my group coaching call. That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we're going to dig into this a lot deeper. Okay. But what can we do? Well, first of all, what happens is in that childhood, and like I said, I do energy healing. I'm a intuitive Reiki master. So I use the power of energy healing and reprogramming our subconscious beliefs, because look at everything that we just said, where we created all these beliefs in our mind that we're not good enough, that we're not as good as our sibling, that our parents hate us. There's all these subconscious beliefs that form, and most of our subconscious beliefs form from the ages of 0 to 7. And if we don't know how to reprogram these subconscious beliefs, we move through our whole life. And that's why, like, when I work with 50 or 60-year-old women, we go right back to the childhood, and there is so much shit there that still needs to be healed. And it's because the energy is there and the subconscious beliefs. So let's talk about the energy. when you go through all of these things, our energy gets trapped in our field, in our aura, okay? So unless we release that energy, what happens is it keeps coming up. So say, for instance, if you had a mother that was always saying that your sister was better, now all of a sudden it's 20 years later, and your sister does something and your mother says something, and it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, here we go again, like she's better than I am. And what happens is all the energy that's stuck back in the past, it comes rushing up. And this is where you get emotional. This is where you get angry. This is where you lash out, because all of that energy, it's not about what just happened here, because maybe it's not even a big deal. You're older, you get it. It's like, yeah, whatever, I didn't do that. That's cool. She's cool, right? But all that stuff from a child now comes rushing up to you because you haven't released it. And that's where the energy, I call them triggers. So that's where the trigger, that triggered you, which then triggered all of this energy to come rushing up. This is where we get anxious. This is where, like I just said, we lash out, get angry, all of this different things. So we have to learn to release the energy so that it doesn't affect us anymore. So your mother can say, oh yeah, look at what so-and-so did. And it doesn't feel like she's saying she's better, because we've released all that and healed that, and also reprogrammed the subconscious beliefs. So in order to, heal from having a narcissistic parent, you want to work with the energy, and you also want to work with the subconscious beliefs. You got to work with both. And that's what I say all the time, because we have to connect the mind with the energy. So, we can know that she's not better than us, but we feel that she is. And that's where all that energy and, emotional stuff comes up, even though in your mind, it's like, yeah, I mean, I know she's not better than me, but whatever, my mom thinks she is. But then all the energy comes up, and that's where we have to release all of that. So let me know if you guys have questions on what we've talked about so far. All right, enough. As an adult, I've learned to agree with my mom says, do whatever I want now anyway. Yeah, you're right, Cinderella. Was it? Thank you. Not worth my energy trying to fight my case. Yeah, and sometimes you have to do that. And realize that, again, when you heal, you're going to change the dynamic, because we teach people how to treat us. So for so many years, we have taught our parents that they can treat us like this, that they can manipulate us, that they can lie to us. That's another thing, they'll lie to you. I mean, there's so much about narcissistic parents. I can't really get into all of it. I do have a video on YouTube about narcissistic parents. You can see it in the narcissism list. I don't have the link for you, but you can check that out on YouTube. But yeah, they will lie to you. Again, they'll gaslight you. So like if you catch them in the lie, they're going to make you feel like you're the crazy one, like you don't know what you're talking about. So, but like there's so much that comes from being in that situation for so long, and it's time to let all of that go. And what happens is, because you don't feel good enough, because you've been lied to and shamed and guilted, we never really learned how to love ourselves. So when we don't know how to love ourselves, we seek that love outside of ourselves. And this is where I get into codependency. So a lot of narcissistic parents will either form narcissists or codependents because of the way they treat them. So if it's the golden child, could potentially go to a narcissist. But if it's the scapegoat, right, where this is the one that they, put all the crap on, they will probably go to codependency. And I feel like there's two ways with codependency. We can completely shut down and become a rebel, or we can open ourselves up and get into all these like toxic relationships. So healing yourself from this childhood will then break the cycle of toxic relationships, because you'll start to learn, especially in my program, you'll start to learn how to be aware of everything. You're going to identify where it's all coming from. You're going to reprogram those subconscious beliefs and release the energy so that you feel good enough and you know that you're good enough. So you're on the same page. And then you learn boundaries. And then we also learn about connecting to your higher self to really awaken that self-worth, know your worth, because it's hard to set boundaries if you don't know you're worthy of them. You might say a boundary, but then they overstep it, and then you don't really kind of enforce it. So you have to know your worth. All right. So those are the signs of a narcissistic parent. They so many ways, because of those subconscious beliefs and because of the energy that is still stuck around situations in your past, especially with your childhood, which then will cause chaos. I've been using that, cause chaos. I'm writing a book and chaos is in the title. So, but when we don't understand our energy or know how to clear it and protect it and release it, then it causes chaos. It doesn't just cause chaos in relationships. It can cause chaos in your business and in your career. It can cause chaos with friendships. It can cause in your family with your children. It can cause a lot of chaos when you don't heal the childhood. And what I say is healing is like an onion, and the outside of the onion is the foundation, which is all the childhood stuff. It's like once you heal the childhood stuff, then you can get into like the middle of everything, which is kind of just advancing you more. But you got to heal the foundation. And if you haven't healed your childhood and you're trying to put that off and resist it because you don't really want to touch it, you're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. And on Wednesday, I'm going to explain why and how that is and what to do instead. So if you are interested in creating a 5-step plan, I call it a healing blueprint for you to actually heal after toxic relationships, then you want to join me Wednesday. So, let me put the link here. Let's see if I copied it. I did. Look at me. The link is right there. If you're on YouTube catching the replay, you can find it in the description or in the comments. And if you're on Facebook, you can find it up in the description box above. Yeah, so you can find it there because I know it only posts to my business page and also to YouTube. Okay, so if you're on my personal page, you can find it up in the description box. I left it up there for you guys. I hope to see you there. It's amazing. You get a lot of clarity about why. And that why is so important because that's the awareness, which is step 1 to any healing. So to any change, really. So I invite you to that. I want to say much love. Let me just see if there's any more comments here. It's like you play the part in a script that is written for you, but not your true self. Yes, they don't want you to be your true self. They want you to be who you want, who they want you to be. So you're really not allowed to have your feelings and your thoughts and everything like that. Kitty says energy healing has helped me so much. Lori says the abuse made me push myself to go to college and became the best I felt I could be. Now as a medical professional, I look at my sister and feel bad as if she needed my mother more because I moved on and became successful and she didn't. Now the jealousy is reversed. Well, I guess that's kind of good. And your sister is actually responsible for her own healing. So let go of any guilt around that or shame around that because that's her own responsibility. You did what you did, not, I don't know. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so just don't let go of any shame around that or guilt around that she isn't where you are. Okay. Oh my God. Yes. Hi, everyone. Okay. All right. So I want you ladies and gentlemen to have a wonderful week. I will see you probably here next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not, I'll see you on the group coaching call tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Much love to all of you. Have a wonderful night. Keep healing. Stop resisting because what you resist persists. Have a great night. Bye.